Good afternoon, all. Hope the year has started well. It's a pleasure to be here for the first one of 2026, which I didn't realise, which is great. As Lydia's introduced me, my name's Jim Morris, National Development Manager at Youth Sport Trust. I also have a regional caseload across the West Midlands and particular work and focus of our priority strategic work in Birmingham. So this lunch and learn session today is around our WELL schools. In particular, thinking about how our WELL schools empower schools to be active and well through a more holistic framework that schools can now access following a large bit of a pilot work over a number of years to get us to this point where we are now. Just to kind of really set the scene around the role and power of the rationale around physical activity, the recent Active Live survey that some of your schools and yourselves might have been engaged with recently has been released, and it's really important just to kind of highlight where Birmingham are and where the young people in Birmingham are currently. Currently, this is where we're at when we're considering the 60 active minutes a day for the CMO guidelines for young people. In terms of active, so on a daily average of 60 plus minutes a day, we've got 47.8% of young people in Birmingham. Less active, so less than an average of 30 minutes a day, is 27.6%, and that's around just under 48,000 young people. And then you've got the red line, which is fairly active, which the percentage isn't there, but it's actually 25%, and that's 43,000 young people. So we still do have quite a large proportion of young people in Birmingham who are not active for 60 minutes a day. So that kind of highlights the role and importance of physical activity and well-being in schools currently. And we have a bit of tensions potentially within school as a result of a lot of our parent survey work over the last couple of years when we're looking at the CMO guidelines of those 60 minutes per day across a week. The surveys that we undertake, 32% of parents are aware of the 60 minutes a day, 34% of teachers, but we have an incredible 75% of young people, and it was a very big sample size, who are aware of the importance of 60 minutes or more a day, which is really, really important to consider and maybe reflect back in your own schools the role of the 60 minutes a day and the awareness across parents, teachers and children. What's also really important to note at the start of this is when we talk about 60 minutes a day, 60 minutes a day is to prevent communicative diseases. The 60 minutes a day for young people as a CMO guideline isn't to live a healthy, happy, thriving childhood. The 60 minutes a day is an absolute pure minimum of what we should expect young people to do. So even if we go beyond the 60 minutes a day, there's still a lot of work to do, both in Birmingham and nationally. When we're looking at well-being, again, a lot of our research work that was recently released in our P and School Sport report and our Class of 2035 report that you can find on the Youth Sport Trust website, we are seeing an increasing number of parents who understand and prioritise well-being for their young people. So 66% of parents mentioned well-being as a factor when choosing the secondary school. When parents consider the primary school for their young people to believe, there are the top two factors for that choice. The first one is location, the second one is well-being, and does that school place well-being at the heart of what it does? So we know that parents prioritise well-being for their young people. We also understand that 73% of parents agree that pupil well-being is likely to be better in schools which prioritise PE, physical activity and school sport. So there is a link for parents between well-being and school sport, PE and physical activity, whereas some of our research and insight work in some of the more deprived areas across the Midlands does suggest that some parents who are of low affluence households struggle to understand the difference between, or the link between well-being and PE, physical activity and school sport actually contributing to that. We also have a bit of a shift in young people. We also have an understanding that there is an increasing number of young people are having more positive attitudes towards physical activity. So just through the work of our own research and insight work, 91% of young people say they understand why being active is good for them. They can actually articulate it, which is great really good PE curriculums are probably doing that to help articulate the power of healthy, active lifestyles. But also 64% of young people want to do more exercise or play more sport. We're also, through our research work, we also know that an increasing number of young people are more aware they spend too much time on social media and too much time being digitally distracted. A lot of young people now, through our work, are saying, we know we're being digitally distracted, we want to be more active. So we're currently seeing a bit of a shift in the attitudes of young people, which place a further importance and role on physical activity. Now, when we look at the role and importance of physical activity, I'll always use this slide whenever I'm with any schools. We've done some work with Professor John Ratey from Harvard University in the past and Dr. William Bird from Insight Intelligence. And they've done some work with us around a kind of continuum of physical activity. So if we look on human activity, you've got sleep on the bottom of the arrow, and then you've got vigorous activity right on the tip of the arrow. And you know those young people in your schools who will be right at that tip of vigorous activity. You don't need to do anything for those young people to be active. Now, across the bottom, we've got sedentary physiology, is human physiology when we're in sleep and sedentary behavior. Then during light activity, that's when health physiology is start to be realized, where you have health and cognitive benefits. And then when you go from moderate to vigorous activity, that's where we get exercise physiology, and those health and cognitive benefits can be maximized for healthy reasons. Now that line, that dotted line between sedentary behavior and light activity is as simple as standing up. So that doesn't include movement. That doesn't include walking. That is just standing up. So a lot of the work we've done through sports development in this country over the last 30 years is trying to get those young people on the left-hand side of that dotted line all the way to vigorous activity. We don't need more young people who love sport in this country. And that's quite difficult for somebody to say when they work for an organisation that's got sport right in the middle of their name. We need more young people who understand why being active and movement is important and who are actively moving. They'll love sport. They'll find a sport. If they don't find a sport, that's fine. It's around movement and physical activity. So a lot of the work we do with our schools is how we get schools to think about the power of an active school, moving children from sedentary behaviour to light activity without the answer being necessarily more sport. And this is where Well Schools come in for us as an organisation. We've been working on a Well Schools concept well before COVID and lockdown, and we worked with Bupa on a number of pilot schools to look at how schools can place well-being at the heart of what they do. Where a school has a well culture, it's led well by staff, young people move well and live well for the demands of today and the demands of their future. We've worked with Bupa on this, and as a result of COVID and lockdown, we received a little bit more funding to accelerate it because of the need of young people moving forward. There's been lots of reports around why well-being is important for young people. The Good Childhood Report of 2024, a colossal piece of research with 6 figures of young people undertaking surveys and focus groups. And as a result of this, nationally, we found out that more children and young people were unhappy with school than with any other 9 aspects of their life they're asked about. So we were finding that young people were unhappy in the place where they should be happiest the most. And this was the challenge that was laid down to us at the organisation and by schools we work with. How can we help boost young people's happiness through physical activity? And the wellbeing story, developing a well culture with our pilot schools, working with the University of Manchester to do some research around it. When we embedded, and when a school embedded well-being at the heart, so they had a well culture, they were led well, they moved well, and they lived well, advocating for staff well-being, staff recognition, allowing staff to have autonomy over their own well-being in schools led to positive outcomes for the young people. So if there was a well school culture, even just for staff, it led to better academic outcomes for young people. Case study schools reported their pupils are happier and healthier, and this had a more positive impact on pupils' engagement with learning and academic performance. Now, this isn't anything new that we've known in our sector. We've all known that children who are more active do better in school. We've known that for years. However, the research and the insight around that has been quite, it was definitely pre-pandemic, pre-COVID. So what this Well Schools journey has been able to give us is been able to give us hard, fast, accurate insight and data for young people today in different schools and in different parts of the country. Now, we know nationally this is well supported, particularly by DfE and Bridget Phillipson as the new Secretary of State for Education. She's really been on a bit of a mission around healthy and happy children, because she understands that when healthy and happy children come to school ready to learn, they will achieve time and time again. So we know that health and well-being is front and centre of DfE policy. There's been lots of work around government young people consultation and work moving forward around health and well-being. So we know on a government agenda, it hits well. And when the new enrichment framework lands in schools, and when the new P and School Sport Network lands in schools, probably end of this year onwards, we know that well-being is going to be raised as well. Now, the evidence around what we have, we've always known that improved social, physical, mental health and improved well-being behaviour attendance, it reduces health and education inequalities. We know that. However, we are still seeing a decrease in physical and social mental health and a reduction in well-being behaviour and attendance. That's leading to more gaps in progress and achievement in schools, because what we are finding is that across our communities, for both schools and our local authorities, there are growing inequalities. So we know that the inequality gap through health we're trying to solve and support is actually growing because of the financial inequalities that our families in our schools are seeing. Now, in terms of the pillars, so we've got a well culture. This is where senior leaders put health and well-being at the heart of the school and create a culture of belonging, where it's led well. So staff and pupils are empowered to shape and lead their school. Then young people move well, so every pupil is prepared physically and mentally for learning, for life later on. And for live well, every pupil is equipped with the essential skills to thrive in their new world. Now, what the Well Schools does, it doesn't say a school has to do X, Y, and Z to be a well school. What this concept and this framework does, it allows schools to evidence themselves across, we have a well culture, we're led well, we move well, we live well. And it isn't all about sport. It's about physical activity. It's about extracurricular provision, enrichment, volunteering, educational visits, and some of those little snippets you can see on the diagram. But it isn't about more sport, and it's not necessarily about more physical activity. It's about well-being and the holistic development of young people. We have a really good website and a platform that help dive into school leadership, well-being measurement, community engagement, inclusion and diversity, and the physical environment that school has to help support how a well school or a well culture can be embedded in your school. And we're seeing some really unbelievable stories come through from schools in different parts of the country where they are changing what they do in their school to build this well culture, and they're already seeing really positive impacts on those young people and their academic outcomes. In terms of the Well Schools, what we have launched in May, June last academic year was our Well Check. So this is a free to access self-review tool. It is relative to a primary school, a secondary school, or a special school, where you can log on, you get your own platform that looks like the image, the screen grab on the right-hand side of the screen. It allows you to create a free development plan. It's always live. You can do it as many times as you want across a year with no cost barrier to this. There are elements of this that help support Ofsted and school improvement, particularly around personal development strand. And we'll be soon releasing a toolkit to show how schools how the Well Check leads to Ofsted statements, etc. It also signposts relevant support, so that free development plan, if there's an area of work in one of the pillars that you're not so strongly measured against, it'll provide different avenues of support. Some of those Youth Sport Trust, some of those are British Heart Foundation, for instance. Some of those are local services. So it isn't saying to do this, you need to buy into YST at all. It's not about that. It's about a holistic development for young people. Now, Youth Sport Trust doesn't have all the answers for all the aspects of what make a well culture in a school, and that's recognised through this well-check process. If you are part of your multi-academy trust, or if you're part of a school sports partnership system, there are group functions. So I've done some work with some multi-academy trusts across the West Midlands, where there is a director of sport or a CEO who is leading the wellbeing charge in their own school, and they get their own dashboard to see the progress across all their schools in the multi-academy trust. And it also then gives a snapshot across a group of schools where there are areas of development, and that allows for a real targeted CPD support for those schools to help develop a better well school culture. Now, in terms of the questions, this is just a bit of a snippet around the questions. Like most of these kind of these dashboards, you can go in, you can save your progress, and you can go back to it a little bit later. So these within well culture, health and well-being is at the heart of our school ethos and is central to our delivery of education. Not started, limited, good, strong. Within the system, it gives you an example of what do we mean by limited, what do we mean by good, what do we mean by strong for every question. Now, these questions and that evidence have been developed by school leaders. Youth Sport Trust are just driving and empowering the system. The content, the questions, the development plan that comes out the other end has all been developed by school leaders for a school system. So our schools, who are our pilot well schools, we've got 7 across the country. One of those that we were in Birmingham, Oasis Blakenhale Infant and Junior, they've helped develop this system to get us to a point where we can now start rolling out across the schools. Once a school has done well check, it then allows them, if they want to go forward for well schools accreditation. This is a pay barrier of £495, and this gives a rubber stamp of a well school 3-star, 4-star or 5-star. I don't know why we didn't start at 1-star or 2-star. It's still not an answer I found, but it gives an opportunity for a school to demonstrate that commitment to parents and their school community. We are a well school. We place well school at the heart of what we do. It considers other quality marks and awards. So if you do the school games mark, if you do local healthy schools awards, if you do the AFB quality mark, it allows you to use that for evidence to help support you saying you are a well school. Also gives you access to library networking resources. There's loads of podcasts available through this platform that help support you in developing areas of development and areas where you want to strengthen your well culture in your school, that are led by and delivered by school leaders and PE leads across both primary and secondary. Also provides a virtual branding package and a physical branding pack for you to be able to say we are a well school digitally, but also with some physical resources. It's a peer-to-peer quality assurance process. If you go through accreditation, a school leader that we employ on a consultancy basis are doing the quality assurance of that accreditation. So it isn't somebody that comes from Youth Sport Trust, it's somebody who's in the school system, who is a well school as part of our well school pilot work, and they will do the assurance. As we move forward over the next couple of years, which your school accreditation will last for, there'll soon be access to coaching and additional programs that will allow head teacher consultants to come into your school to help support how to move from A, B to C to help support that accreditation process moving forward. And just to finish with, one of our head teachers on our original Well Schools Works, Anthony Selden, says it really well in one of the podcasts around us needing to make a change for young people in this country. We know there's been a real challenge around young people in our country for a number of years. If it's not us, then who is it? If it's not now, then when? We can't wait for a government mandate or a change in policy. We need to make that change that we want to see in the world, in particular for our young people. Although, since he said that, we do have a number of government policies that are helping shape what our young people are getting and what they do. But within a school system, it really helps us move that forward a little bit quicker. Thank you very much for listening. There is the feedback QR code for Lydia and Lottie, if you could fill that out. But if there's any questions around Wells schools, I'm happy to take them now.